It wasn't worth it for me to continue.
Were you ever sorry that you left? I didn't realize it was only 3 days, like that you left after 3 days. And then, like you said, like you watched all this play out on social media, like everyone had an opinion. I mean, we're way past that now, but like, right? Did you ever say, I wish I didn't leave? At least I would still be there to explain a lot of stuff and look at social media.
No, it was more like, I wish I had never gone back. After that weekend, I was like, I mean, it was like, how fast can I get the hell out of there? It was so creepy. I was actually talking to Carole in the car service on the way home. And I was like, I said to the driver, like, you can't repeat this, is this car bugged? Like, I felt so dirty. It was very dirty. I felt like it was, I've said this to the higher ups at Bravo. I thought it was dirty producing. I thought it was self-produced. I didn't like any of it. I didn't recognize any of it. And it didn't feel like the right decision for me. And that's why I didn't continue it.
When you were on,
I put myself at a more disadvantage, to your point, by not being a housewife. Now I got the shittiest of edits. I got, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm even on some of the things that I'm in the scene, they actually cut the frame so that I'm not even in the scene, because they had to belittle me and devalue me as much as they quickly could. You know what I mean? And I understand that. I understand that the show has to serve the cast that they have contracts with. I wasn't mad at that.
Right, because they thought, hey, you're back, so let's have you in a scene. But when they realize there's no end to it, like you're not going to be there, let's just cut you out of the scene because there's a story to be told.
Yeah. You know, there were phone calls that happened, and then you have the media making up all kinds of fake stories about, you know, no one wanted me and I made all these excuses to not film. It was so cut and dry. You know, I had a contract from the lawyers in my inbox when I returned from that weekend, and I called them up and I said, there's no need, I will not be going forward. I mean, it was simple, clear, and cut. There was no other decisions.
Did they try to talk you into it, or just?
Yeah, they did. I mean, you know, for all the right reasons, because so much happened. It was so dramatic. I was, you know, attacked for like seemingly no reason. And so they, you know, it would have been nice to be able to hear that storyline and be able to do some of the storylines that I had come back to do, which was, and maybe share some of my life, you know, which is kind of why I left to begin with, because I didn't feel like that they were authentically, by my third season, it wasn't about authentic storytelling, you know, bringing our differences and our stories to the table and sharing in those differences. It became one-sided, and I wasn't, you know, I was in nutrition school. They weren't covering that. You know what I mean? I just felt like a pawn in a game.
When you were in this car looking around to see if there were bugs and you were talking to Carole Radziwill on the phone, as you say, what was Carole's reaction to like the fact that you were leaving after 3 days?
I told you so. I mean, literally. And we did have a conversation that, you know, even being on the show as long, 3 years long, or maybe even 4, I can't remember, than I was, there was things that I didn't know about the show. The show had even changed during that time that I was no longer on it. So when we spoke about it, she's like, I didn't even really think to tell you that. Like, I forgot when you were on, it wasn't like that. You know, she was kind of, it was like, what it did is it solidified that I would not return. You know what I mean? Like, it was, she didn't realize that some of the things that she was assuming that I knew, I didn't know. They didn't happen when I was on the show that way. So that was some of the things that just reconfirmed that. And she was upset for me because she knows how toxic it can be. And she knows what the internet's capable of, and, you know, production and the edit. You know, she was really worried about the edit, and I was like, still naive. I'm like, I mean, there's nothing. The one bad thing I really did, I own, and I'm glad I did it, only because I could teach people from it. She's like, yeah, don't be so sure. You know, she was more concerned for me.
Did she feel bad? Like, oh wait, shoot, I shouldn't have assumed you knew that.
Yes. You know, but in a good way. Like, of course, it was almost like we both recognized it. And then, if, you know, I will mention, Carole's not on the show for, you know, 3 seasons or something now. She's certainly not paid for the show, and they still mention her name, use her on the show, use her as a funny storyline. And I've been in interviews saying, like, that's Housewivesy stuff, like those kind of Radziwill, like all that's Housewivesy stuff, except for the fact that she's not a part of the cast. So she should not be on the show. I think that that's low. I don't think that that's fair.
That makes sense.
How can she even respond to that?